So a very tense time, and this is the way they'll form up on the grid, with McElnay leading the series, taking pole position. Kevin Magee 6 points behind him. It's 57 versus 51 among those two men on the 140 plus horsepower YZR Grand Prix Yamahas. Donny Osborne, the V3 Honda, about 125 points. Michael Dowson on a production bike that should have the lovely mid-range torque that might help him a little bit in this race. And Buckmaster, the Englishman, on a V3 similar to Osborne's.
And Peter Clifford, all of the riders have come out on wet tyres, on wet weather tyres, and yet the track is drying.
Yes, it's for sure the wet weather tyres are the answer at the beginning of the race on the wet circuit, but as the circuit dries out, it's going to get rather slippery as the tyres perhaps overheat a little bit.
Wayne Clark is in fact a scratching on 61, but Robert Holden, who did such a good job on the Ducati, beat Buckmaster at Oran Park, and the rest of the field shown there. And now they line up, and it is a very tense time. The track will dry on at least the chosen line during this race. McElnay comes into position. The man really very disappointed at the end of the fourth heat. That was the second heat in round two. Talking to Kel Carruthers, the 1969 World 250 champion, and Carruthers saying, cool it.
Quite incredibly, the Mulberry Yamahas have come to Australia without intermediate tyres, that is, tyres that can handle exactly the sort of conditions the bikes will encounter in this first heat this afternoon.
And then Carruthers goes and talks to Kevin Magee, the young man who's done such a brilliant job adapting to these bikes. Donny Osborne doing a good job too on the ex-Mal Campbell, ex-Andrew Johnson bike. And if Andrew's listening today in hospital, we wish him well. Injured in a trail bike accident.
But in fact, although, yes, you say that they're missing the intermediate tyres, there are so many combinations of tyre, tread and compound that they could have that they'd have to have something like 16 tyres, 16 wheels for each motorcycle.
Like all heats in the Swann Series, 12 laps, 2 of them here today. That's 29 kilometres around this lengthened and now slightly hilly Calder circuit.
Ready for a start in the Swann Insurance Series, round 3, Calder Park.
He's been a bad starter. And it's Dowson, fairly expectedly, Tony Armstrong.
And Magee blows the start. He's last away, very slow from the start. There goes Magee on bike 2. That is a tragedy for Kevin Magee because he's got to work his way right through the entire field.
McElnay is the other end of the field. He's first now. There he goes. So Kevin Magee's given himself a gigantic handicap. It's Dowson second on the FZR 1000, Tony Paul third on 82.
But you saw McElnay slide there, showing how slippery these conditions are. As the bike came into the power band, the back end slipped out and he fought to control it.
At least at this stage, Magee is watching what happens to other bikes, whereas McElnay, but on the other hand, he's having to be offline sometimes when he goes past the field. Off the dryer line. Front of the field, McElnay. 3 heat wins in a second.
Oh. Down goes Dowson. Dowson out of the race on the FZR 1000 Yamaha. He's all right.
McElnay being very, very cautious, and rightfully so.
He rode through the Belgian Grand Prix in the rain. He rode, I thought, very well in the British Grand Prix in the rain.
And the unfortunate thing for Dowson was that he's using production tyres. He hasn't got the full wet weather tyres like McElnay and the rest of the racers, so it didn't provide him with enough grip, and it looks as though he lost the front end, braking deep into the corner.
6.46 as we see Dowson's fall again. 6.4 seconds from McElnay, the leader, back to Kevin Magee. Second is Donny Osborne. Third is Tony Armstrong on 82. And McElnay building up a nice lead. There you see Magee on the tail end, about 5th place.
And Magee has an incredibly difficult job to do because he can't go diving past people on the brakes. And McElnay gets a real slide on there. It looks as though both wheels slid.
Lap time on McElnay, 1 minute 10 seconds. That's 13 seconds outside.
And McElnay down. Down goes McElnay. The back end came round. Surely he's going to pick the bike up. It can't have been badly damaged. The rest of the field are coming through. And he's trying to push start it. Will it start?
Magee's by. Magee's gone by. He's just passed Buckmaster on the back straight. He was 8.86 seconds behind him. Magee now has seen McElnay. He's in 4th place. He should easily pick up 3rd down the straight this time. Cool it, Kevin Magee.
And the gap is 2.4 seconds. Kevin Magee back to Rob McElnay. Here goes McElnay's fall.
The back end just comes round far too far. The bike goes over lock and throws him over the high side. Nothing Rob could do. It was far too sudden.
David Horton is the race leader on bike 27.
Does ever that man on bike number 2 know the job in front of him now? There he is, ranging up towards first place. And he is a thinking rider, Kevin McGee. He's got it all together, perhaps to tie the series, depending on what happens in the second heat. You can see the track's drying. Conditions could well be better in the second heat.
Tony Armstrong ranges up behind on the superbike in third position, bike 82. Horton gets out of the way, McGee powers through. Horton's challenging him under brakes.
And McElnay is just behind Kevin McGee. He's not far behind him. He's picked his bike up.
2.51 seconds is the gap. David Horton in the lead.
Onto the straight, McGee wanting to get past him down the straight this time and get clear. Looking for some dry track to unleash 140 plus horsepower.
Horton currently lies 9th in the series.
But McElnay up to third place now. He's just flashed past.
2.8 seconds behind. Lead at 3. They're on their 4th. A slow speed fall, Peter Clifford, but a relatively heavy one. It did high side him.
Yes, it flicked him over the top, didn't it? And he would have come down rather heavily. I'm sure he'll be sore this evening, but he won't be thinking about it now. He'll be thinking about this man, Kevin McGee, out in front on the identical Yamaha.
McGee struggling to keep the front wheel down now over the top, and McElnay really squirming the bike as he tries to put just that little bit extra power on the ground to try and make up the deficit. The split is 2.66 seconds. He's pulled it back by just 0.2 of a second on that lap.
And McGee nearly goes down. McGee ran wide, almost an identical place to McElnay. McGee goes wide but recovers, but that's lost him some ground. Closed right up now the first 3.
And while we look at the 2 Marlboro Yamahas, what about the man on 27? What sort of a job is he doing? Horton on the Warren Taylor Racing 500 Suzuki.
1.4 seconds the gap. Kevin McGee back to Rob McElnay.
Johnny Osborne's gone missing. Very, very difficult conditions.
The race leader.
Paddling round the back, pussyfooting, feeling his way, then just feeding the throttle open, and McElnay coming up onto him.
And in just a couple of places, there's a dry line forming, but nothing you could count on.
And there's some puddles there too. You can see what's happening. McElnay is catching McGee.
Now it becomes a tactical problem for McElnay. What does he do? Does he pass McGee if he gets close enough, or does he just stay behind and watch what the local man's doing? A great recovery from McElnay. Picked the bike up. Obviously not badly damaged. It's possible, and another slide, but no real worry that time. It's possible, of course, the handlebars or the footrests are bent, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him.
End of the straight, hard braking. The bike's probably, even in these wet conditions, still doing upwards of 220, 230 kilometres an hour. Very difficult to get your power to the ground.
Big puddle on the left there. McGee skirts around the outside of it. Is therefore on a wet line on the exit up over the hill where they were mono-wheeling in the dry yesterday. Covers himself on the inside there for this fast kick.
And we saw McElnay clip a curve then. He just touched the white line or the curb itself, and that sent the bike into a nasty slide momentarily.
Still lapping at 1 minute 10 seconds, 13 seconds off the dry weather time.
And averaging 120 odd kilometres an hour.
It looks very much as though McElnay's just biding his time at the moment, or is he preparing to strike?
McGee struggles to get his power down.
In this 15 lapper, they've completed 6. They're out on their 7th. Horton. good scrap here. Tony Armstrong back there, in behind now. Jim Judd on 11.
McGee still holds the lead tenuously from Rob McElnay.
A 10.07 that time as the track gets a little bit drier, a little bit faster, bringing the average up to 123.5 kilometres down. McElnay looking for the lead. Positioning there, but a little bit far behind him, a different line.
Here he comes and takes it over. So now it's up to Kevin McGee to see if he can exert pressure on Rob McElnay.
I think he'll do what he was going to do anyway in the dry. He'll sit in behind McElnay, or try and sit in behind him.
I think that to have passed McGee, McElnay must feel that he can go quite a lot quicker and get away. Otherwise, he wouldn't have blown his chance like this.
McGee has always been faster coming onto the straight, but that, of course, was in the dry weather where he could put all his power down, sweeping out through that third gear sweeper onto the main straight. Here, the experience of McElnay, having ridden these Yamaha YZR 500s in the wet, is really showing. He rode in the wet Silverstone meeting, mid-year, in fact, in August. Yes, it must be a particularly difficult thing to ride in the wet, Peter.
Yes, he's having another little bit of a moment there, Rob, but he should be used to it. As you say, he's ridden a couple of Grand Prix, long, nearly hour-long races in the wet, and he certainly should know what he's about.
Here comes McGee down the inside.
Leader McElnay. Tend to agree with Peter Clifford that putting himself just in front of McGee wouldn't have been wise, and he's obviously trying to build up a lead, looking to see how he's going now. And his lead becomes 1.37 seconds.
And then a long gap back.
And probably, as the track dries, it will suit McGee, make McGee potentially closer to McElnay than the reverse. .37 seconds, McElnay's lead on the previous time across the start-finish line. Now 1.47. Nothing much in it. McGee travelling hard up the back straight.
And there's the dice for third place between Robert Holden on bike 99, the Ducati, and in front of him, bike 27, David Horton's 500 Suzuki, as Holden comes side by side with Horton down the straight, can't do it. This is the bike on 99 that Kevin McGee rode last year. And Robert Holden, the New Zealander, doing a great job on this against the Grand Prix machine, as McElnay leads McGee through. And the long gap back to these two people. David Horton running 9th in the series on 9 points. And Robert Holden lying in 7th position on 10 points.
The lap average speed for McElnay rises to 128 kilometres an hour as he does a 68-second lap. And McGee had lost a couple more tenths during the tail end of that last lap, but on this one, the 10th lap, he's made a little bit of ground again, I think. He hasn't given it away. Oh, boy, he had the bike working through there, and there again. Oh, the third place dice.
And we saw exactly what happens in wet weather riding as Horton went offline. One dry line, but he was a fraction too fast going in, drifted onto the wet and nearly lost it. That gave
Robert Holden
the advantage to dive through, and he took full use of it.
There's just 0.63 of a second between these two YZR Grand Prix Yamahas. As Kevin McGee reins back in, Rob McElnay uses his head. He said yesterday, I reckon it might be a race for the last few laps. The only way I'll beat him is to lurk in behind him, put the pressure on him, either hope he can make a mistake or that I can leap out and attack him in the final few. He said the final few laps could be very hard indeed. And there are now 5 remaining.
Oh, and another slide from McElnay, and McGee is closer. McElnay hasn't got away from him. McGee's come back, and now it's right on his tail, and McElnay's confidence can't be good. He's crashed once, he's had a couple of nasty slides, and he doesn't know that McGee is quite that close to him.
16.37 seconds is the gap back to third position, but that dice has been resolved as now Kevin McGee comes down the inside. Exploratory under brakes, but Rob McElnay's got the corner.
Kevin McGee just wants to let him know he's there. He doesn't want McElnay not to know. He wants to worry him, to harry him. He wants to unsettle him. He's loving it. Look at the way he's closing. He really is reveling in it. Look at him. Have a look at me, Rob. Know that I'm there.
And for the first time, McElnay doesn't look over his shoulder, doesn't see that McGee is closing.
And they do a 1:06.7, their fastest lap so far, 129.6 kilometres an hour. Look at them, look for the dry line, and it is there. Kevin McGee, first time on the bike at Surfers, equalled McElnay's qualifying time, but lost ground in both heats. And McElnay convincingly first, McGee just as convincingly second. Then that sensational Oran Park second heat. The first one was fantastic as well.
McGee down the inside, but McElnay will take it.
McGee didn't want it then again, but he wants McElnay to know he's there.
And I think McGee's got to come up with a different passing philosophy to that which he used at Oran Park. There is only really one dry line round most of the circuit, so just moving in on McElnay and trying to push him out the way, I don't see how that can work here unless it be very, very dangerous.
That point right there coming onto the straight is where McGee yesterday had the power on McElnay. He entered that corner much quicker.
Now 15.8
Here he
at
comes.
131.4 kilometres an hour. McGee hits the lead. This is lap 13. 15 of them. He's got 2.5 laps now to try and move away from Robert McElnay.
Now it's McElnay's chance to turn on the pressure.
Squeezing a throttle open gradually on the big, powerful machine.
And McElnay comes back at McGee. McGee always down the inside here. McElnay up the outside. No chance of a passing manoeuvre this time.
McGee turns in beautifully from the title line. Powers onto the straight. McElnay now seeing if he can pull back the deficit on the straight. But McGee's got him covered.
65.8 seconds a lap, 131.5 kilometres an hour. 2 laps remain.
And if anything, McGee opening out a slight lead here. He's a few yards further ahead than he was the previous lap. And using all the road and a little bit more, he ran wide, very wide. He's all over the place. He probably missed the gear. He almost certainly missed the gear when he got out of control, put him way out of the power band, and it really has dropped him a long way back now. It's a lot of work for McGee to do. And McElnay using all the road on the white line, the back end slid round, and now heavy on the brakes. It's almost out of control.
1.92 seconds the gap between them. McElnay just did a 1-minute 5-second lap.
The advantage here has swung back and forth, and there's only 1 lap to go. And McElnay has the advantage, but it doesn't mean the race is over in it by any means.
The gap is 2 seconds. Massive, massive gap in these conditions as they do a 65.5 second lap, averaging 132 kilometres an hour.
But I think the important thing is that Rob doesn't know he's 2 seconds in front. It's not really likely that he would have got a pit signal to that effect. And he's pressing on, not looking about how far he is in front, and could always make a mistake.
Hill's probably giving him the cool it sign. It's been a gutsy ride from both of them. From this man picking the bike up from that crash.
And McElnay's definitely still pressing on. The back wheel coming off the ground, even using wet weather tyres.
And McElnay's making ground. It's 2.1 seconds now.
Only 1 more corner to negotiate.
2.6. That man on 2 knows he can do nothing now. He really did lose his chance there at the end of the 13th lap. So it's victory to Rob McElnay, second place to Kevin McGee, both of them Marlborough YZR 500 Yamahas. Third place
will go to Robert Holden on bike 99. And the gap now in points, with only one race remaining in the Swann Insurance Series, opens to 9 points between Rob McElnay and Kevin McGee.
Great sportsmanship over two men who raced very hard there and each had their share of luck and problems. 17 minutes, 25.77 seconds, the race time for 15 laps, averaging 123.8 kilometres an hour.